What's up, everyone? This is Temp My Chair MTG here, bringing you a quick banned and restricted list reaction video, I guess if you want to call it, or update and my opinions. So, yesterday, July 13th, we got the updated banned and restricted list from Wizards of the Coast. I think, everything seemed fair. Burning Tree Emissary was suspended. We talked about that card in our predictions video. Nexus of Fate got the boot, and then Winota, Agent of Treachery, and Fires of Invention went from suspended to banned in Historic, which is great. Modern got Arkham's Astrolabe. We all saw that coming. Some people were calling for Uro. We'll see how things go now that Astrolabe is out. I mean, the 3 and 4 color snow control decks aren't going to be around anymore, hopefully. So, well, they won't be. So that kind of cleared that up. Pauper had Mystic Sanctuary, and they had one other card. I can't remember off the top of my head. Anyways, get the boot. And then there's Pioneer. Pioneer had no bannings, to the surprise of literally every single person that plays Pioneer. And they had an unbanning, to the surprise of literally everyone that plays Pioneer. I don't think anyone's seen this coming. And I think everyone's, disgusted and outraged in the fact that neither Inverter, Dimir Inverter, or Lotus Breach had anything taken out of it. Nothing got hit, not even pieces. So I think everyone in the Pioneer community, which myself, I'm a big advocate of Pioneer for the simple fact, in my town, Modern's huge, Commander's huge, Standard was okay for a while until the format's just been a wreck. Probably since, the bans that took out Scarab God, Aether Revolt. That was the last time I had fun playing Standard. So Standards kind of died around here. And then all of a sudden Pioneer came along. Pioneer let us play with all these cards going back a few years. All the new Standard cards. And it let us play, somewhat powerful decks, in comparison to Standard. Like, this is a steroid-induced Standard, if you want to call it. It's nowhere near Modern. These decks aren't competing with Modern decks. But, if you don't want to be spending all this money on a rotating Standard deck, you can build a Pioneer deck, that doesn't rotate and that has a chance to be good. And you could use these cards from the past 4 or 5 years that you've loved that didn't really fit into a Modern deck, but work in Pioneer. So I think Pioneer fit. And was a good substitute for people who didn't want the expense of getting into Modern, and wanted to play with some of these old cards from, recent Standards past. We've had a few banned cards and some changes since Pioneer came out, which is understandable. They said weekly bans. It seemed like things kind of got sorted out, and they stopped with the weekly bans, and any new Pioneer bans just came with the BNR updates for all the formats. The once a month or whatever, every couple weeks or every 2 months, however Wizards does it. Anyways, long-winded story. Pioneer needed a ban or two. The format right now is kind of dead, in the simple fact that it's run by 2 main decks with 2 or 3 outliers, but nothing is in the same realm as the Dimir Inverter shell. That is, the top tier 1 deck. Lotus Breach is right behind it. As you can see here from the MTG Goldfish Pioneer metagame page, really, Dimir Inverter is number 1. Mono Black aggro, okay. There's nothing unfair about this deck. It's a fair aggro deck. There's nothing unfair. Then there's Lotus Breach, which is, Lotus Breach is another one of the unfair decks. Like I said in my predictions video, I really thought if they didn't get rid of Underworld Breach, Lotus Field would get a hit that really drops you back on your mana producing elements for this deck. It slows you down a bit to maybe make it a bit more fair. Or really the right answer, I think, would have been to just get rid of Breach. And the right answer in Inverter would have been to just get rid of Inverter. These decks are gone. Banning Thassa's Oracle, banning Jace. Someone will find some sort of replacement that does okay. Maybe not as much as Thassa's Oracle, but needless to say, neither of those things happen. Inverter of Truth is still around. Underworld Breach is still around. These decks are not going anywhere. All these decks that are in between here are all filler decks, but these are all, 2 or 3 and 4, I guess, behind Dimir Inverter 1, Lotus Breach number 2. So, what Wizards did was unban Oath of Nissa. And I can't even say that without chuckling, because it makes no sense to me. They're trying to bring back, mono green, or I don't really even know exactly what Wizards was trying to do with this. But it's not going to fix the format. The format is still broken with Inverter and with the Breach. So I really feel like Wizards dropped the ball on this one. As you can even see here from the last Pioneer Challenge, Dimir Inverters, number 1, no surprise. 2 Lotus Breach, 3 Lotus Breach. So in the top 8, there's 3 Lotus Breach and 2 Dimir Inverter. So I mean, it's 60% or more of the meta is those 2 decks. So Wizards' response, if I bring it up, was that it was, a fair. It was fair. They're not, they don't think it's. I can't even find it. They don't think it's an unhealthy format. But I don't know what they're looking at, because I don't see a healthy format. This huge article about Historic, which makes me feel like Historic is really replacing Pioneer, meaning they don't have to code all these old cards back into MTG Arena. They just go forth with Historic and add, a random set or 2 here. Pioneer goes bye-bye, Historic's the format. But look at this huge article of Historic Pioneer. Look at boom. We are otherwise generally happy with the shape of the metagame in Pioneer, with the most played decks each having strengths and weaknesses against each other. Let's see. 1 Dimir Inverter, Lotus Breach, Dimir Inverter, Lotus Breach. That seems like a, they're happy with the shape of the metagame. Each deck has strengths and weaknesses against each other. Yeah. You either play Dimir Inverter, you play Lotus Breach, and hopefully you beat each other. We got all this other stuff in here. And it's like, cool, yeah, Mono White Devotion's technically a combo deck if you get, Ballista and Heliod, but I mean, that's like tier 2 compared to Inverter. That's tier 2 compared to Breach. I mean, we've got some 5-0 decks on the side here, but these are just leagues, Esper Control. I really like Esper Control. That's what I was playing before, COVID-19 hit. I was playing a version of Esper Control. This is playing Yorion and whatnot, and I liked it. It was fun. It wasn't, I don't think it's tier 1. It lost a lot of decks. It lost aggro. It was good, though. I like Control. But, I mean, how many cards do I have to put in this deck, just to shut down those 2 tier decks? How much of my sideboard do I need? I know right away there's 2 or more Dampening Spheres just for a Breach. So you're taking 2+ cards out of the sideboard just for that. 4 Mystical Disputes. Okay, Mystical Dispute is good, but I don't know if I'd run 4 in the sideboard, but 2 are probably an additional in the deck for Dimir Inverter specific. So, long-winded story is Wizards really dropped the ball. And from the reactions of everyone on Twitter and the Magic community as a whole, is everyone thinks that. Everyone thinks that Wizards dropped the ball on this. I really think this time Wizards needs to go out of their way and make an errata or go and make an updated for next week banned and restricted list. Say, listen, we've heard from the people, we've reviewed a bit of the last challengers and the preliminaries in the leagues on Magic Online, and Inverter and Lotus Breach are, a problem. And, they said this. So we're keeping an eye on the population of combo decks in the environment, although the perception of combo decks have dominant win rates isn't backed up by Magic Online play data. That's because Pioneer hasn't been firing on Magic Online. It's not a healthy format. How can you get something to fire and for you to get data when no one's playing? You're just getting data from the past, and didn't the data from the last month, 2 months, 3 months show that those decks were an issue? I'm just really, I love Magic, and I love Wizards, and I'm not really, like, at the end of the day, I really don't care that much. I only play Pioneer and Paper, which we haven't been doing. We're just starting to get things started up in British Columbia here. And it's really no skin off my back. Whatever, it is what it is. But, man, I tell you, we're talking some high-level oversight here. I don't know if I don't know what, like, and here's the thing. Do they see, the next set, Zendikar Rising, okay, well, here's the fixes, those, you know what I mean? We don't know that information. What we know is now. You can unban cards, like you just did with Oath of Nissa. If Wizards thinks in 8 months or a year or 16 months that Pioneer will be a healthy format if Inverter was unbanned and, say, Breach had been unbanned, and it was maybe Tier 1, maybe Tier 2, there was some more answers, then fine, you can do that. We're not going to be in an uproar. But we're in an uproar now because you've continually made this an unhealthy format, and you haven't done anything to fix that at this point in time. So now we're all just stuck in the wings, not playing this format. Or, I mean, it's not getting what the intention of your intention, that was good English. Wizards' intention on this format, I think, was to be some sort of a modern replacement or a modern substitute for newer players to, you know what I mean? Like, there's options there. And I just feel, I don't know. I just feel like they've let the ball down. They've dropped the ball on this. So that's just my opinion, though. Disagree with me all you want. I know there's tons of people who love to play these decks. I've played unfair decks in the past before. I played Cobblade. I played Stoneforge and Jace. I loved playing those decks, but it was not fun for people playing against you during those times. So I get it. I can see both sides, but I think this side, when you've introduced a fairly new format that's, within a year of being introduced, you can't have it soured. We don't need another brawl situation here. So I think Wizards needs to take the proper steps here to issue an apology, say, listen, we hear you. You're the people playing. You're the people buying the cards. You're the people playing the format. And one or two of these cards or a piece of the deck is gone, and we'll see how things go from there. So I don't see anything happening until the next Banned and Restricted update, in August or September. Who knows? Probably around Zendikar Rising or after Double Masters. Who knows? But, yeah. Anyways, that's my opinion. Like it or not, leave a comment. Let's have a discussion about this. You can find me on Twitter at TempMyTerror. I'm on Instagram at TempMyTerrorMTG. And you can find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/TempMyTerrorMTG. So it was just a little bit of reaction video. So let me know what you think. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one.